Hey, we are live here on Bowles.tv. It's Bowles.television. I'm David Bowles, coming to you live and in concert from the East Coast of these United States. So many interesting things to talk about. Whoops. I'm live and I can hear myself. That's not good. You can see we have a new wonderful light right here, which is actually the I love you sign, and it's all kinds of different colors, and it's in the background, so it's there, but it's not there, which is what I love about writing and design and art. Something that's not always in your face, but something if you're paying attention and you start to say, oh, what is that? What is that thing in the background? Oh, it's an I love you. And it's various colors. Lots of fun, right? So many interesting things to talk about today, but first I have to show you my new shirt. This is my WWE shirt. Yeah? The Judgment Day and our truth, which now appears that that's over. The shirt was, I think, good for 2 weeks on television, and then it took 4 weeks to get here. But Judgment Day is a very interesting group, and I love R-Truth. He's been there for, 22 years. He's funny, he's weird, he's strange. And you may say, why are you watching wrestling? What's wrong with you? And I admit, as a young child and as a medium adult, I never really was into WWE. Wasn't into the fakeness of it, the entertainment of it. But now that I'm old and no longer interesting, I love WWE and all wrestling. I think the lawsuit that happened a while back where Vince McMahon admitted in court that all the outcomes were scripted sort of changed my thought about it. Then I sort of realized, well, professional wrestling is a heightened sense of live theater. And that's really exactly what it is. It's live theater on a stage that just happens to be televised. I prefer the wrestling over the smash talking, trash talking to each other, but I know some people just really love the trash talking, which is fine too. But I think it was Hulk Hogan who said, yeah, the outcomes are predetermined. We have a script. We know exactly what each other's going to do. It's choreographed. But the injuries are real. And that makes complete and total sense. And when you put wrestling in that context, yes, it's, sort of predetermined for the outcome, but the process is painful. When somebody gets hit the wrong way, people get injured, and the injuries are very real. I think Shotzi tore her ACL, and she's a lot of fun. They're going to miss her. She's out for, I think, 3 to 6 months with that injury. So I love my shirt. I love the R-Truth thing at the bottom that's kind of taped on, that they taped on in the TV show, and then they printed it with it being taped on here. I just think it's terrifically hilarious and funny. Well, today is a very special day. Only comes around maybe, I don't know, 4 to 10 times in a lifetime. And that is Leap Day. Leap year. February 29. Now, renters love it because we get an extra day. Landlords hate Leap Day because usually February is their big money month, where instead of people staying until the 31st, people are out on the 28th, 28, 29, 30, 31. That's like a week. So landlords don't like leap day, leap year every 4 years, and the rest of us love it. And I was thinking about it today that, every 4 years, because of the calendar gods, we are gifted an extra day in our lifetime. A day that does not exist except every 4 years. Now that's really interesting. And if you think about it, well, today is my gift day. Today is my leap day. What am I going to do with it? And it makes you consider. If not for today, I wouldn't have tomorrow. And I am here streaming with you on a day that will not exist for another 4 years. It's strange. Leap day is a hard thing to understand, especially when you're a little kid. I mean, people just kind of tell you, hey, February 29th, okay, sometimes, not always. Oh, okay. But does anybody really understand why? Not really. Does it matter? Not really. Is daylight saving time more important to get rid of all that stuff? So we just, have one time across the United States? That's probably true. So what's going on in other news? We have a lot of AI things to talk about. And it was interesting on the news this morning. I was watching a very curious story about advertising agencies that are using AI in a positive, proactive way to promote candidates for public office. Now, I think that's very interesting. And the person they were interviewing understands what AI does. They have it all programmed out. A human being starts the process, feeds the information, checks data like they've always done. What was successful? What mean thing did we say last time that we could say again and get the same positive bounce out of it, right? And then the AI will kind of rewrite it and revise it based on data sets and give you a new advertising campaign. Okay? Smart, really smart, not necessarily a negative. It's not, AI pretending to be the voice of Joe Biden. And it's not Joe Biden, it's an AI voice that somebody created to trick people. That's not what's going on with this. This is something that's very different, very special. And we like that a lot. So AI is, coming in at us from all angles. And it's not going away. It's not going to be successfully legislated because the law is always behind the tech. By the time the law gets caught up to put restrictions or boundaries on the tech is not there anymore. It's changed and become something else in the world. So AI is now in writing, it's in music, it's in art, and there are some people who just can't tolerate it. They get very upset by the idea of AI. They want to fight against it. They want to condemn it. They want to make fun of it. They call it stealing, and it's none of that. It's the new way forward. It is our future as people living together in the world. Now, before we get to all of our AI stuff, just a couple of interesting thoughts to share. One of them is Richard Lewis, the comedian, died. I think it was yesterday. I'm sure he was trying to hang on for leap year so he could die on a unique day, right? February 29. But I think he had Parkinson's for a long time. He was very good friends with Larry David, the creator of Seinfeld, and they were on Curb Your Enthusiasm together. And, of course, people talking about it and what good friends they were and how they had a long-time friendship. It was just really quite wonderful. And somebody posted this online and said, hey, look at this. This is Larry David over here, and this is Richard Lewis. And this is, I think, clearly a Playboy club somewhere sometime, which I don't think are a thing anymore. But you used to go there and women would dress like this. They had bunny tails and all kinds of. I think we moved beyond that. But this is a long time ago. This is when Larry had hair and Richard sort of looks the same. And I thought, well, this is an interesting photograph, probably from 1980s, maybe. I think it's a little pre-Seinfeld, only because I think Larry's hair, he had a little bit less of it, and it was starting to get a little bit less color in it. So I'm saying, early 80s maybe. I don't know. And then I thought, well, we live in the age of AI. This photograph, clearly taken with a 35 millimeter camera, because back then we didn't really have digital cameras. What would happen if we gave this image to AI and told the AI, hey, fix it and enhance it, make it look better? And I'll show you. That's what I did, and I'm showing this to you now. Now, I'm going to tell you, I find this fascinatingly wonderful. And sometimes these AI image updates don't look so good. They look very fake. They look very artificial. The faces don't blend well or blend right. But if you look at this image, this is Richard Lewis in a now updated digital image from 1980. And you can see the faces of the women are very clear, very beautiful. There's Larry. And you can see the beard on his face now. Now this is interpretation. This is interpolation. This is a much bigger sized file from a file megabyte sensibility, about 5 times larger than the original I showed you, and then physically it's like 4 times larger if you print it out. So is this still the image, is the question that people want to ask. Is this still Larry David and Richard Lewis? And here's the original. Okay, so the original is, blurry, pixelated, clearly was, a 35 millimeter print, not a scan, made into a digital image from that original paper photograph. And then you bounce right over here to the AI version, and it's clear and beautiful and fascinating. Now you can see Larry's hair here. There's a little bit of noise, a little bit of artifacts here. And we'll look at this in the original. See, it's sort of there, not there. Is that her arm or is that his hair? Well, the AI doesn't really know. Now, I did this very quickly. I just put it in there, said, fix this, fix the faces, fix the lighting, fix the color. And it just all automatically goes. Now, if I were invested in this, if this were my beautiful wife, Jana Marie Sweetheart, I would, take 5 minutes instead of 1 second on doing it. But if you really wanted to work on this, you can get right in here and clean up this. This is very noisy here over her shoulder. This is noisy. But the faces are right. So the AI gods, as they say, know that people want the faces are perfect. The clothing, the background, a little muddy, a little staticky. But the faces are right. And that's what we care about when it comes to AI. So I'm blowing this up. Okay, this is blown up. Okay, this is blown up. So this is blown up, and this is Richard and Larry blown up. Okay, right? Whoops. Okay. And this is them blown up with the big AI. Now see, the face on this woman is beautiful. Perfectly done, right? I'm sure that's how she looked. I'm really very positive of it. But as we fade down, scroll down, we can see blown up 4 times its size, and the face is fixed. This is the artifact of the rest of her body. But the eye doesn't really look at it because the eye isn't really looking at her bow tie. The eye is looking at her beautiful face. So what else do we see here? Let me see if I can find somebody. Where is everybody? There's Richard. Okay, so now we'll see Richard's hair is a little funky up here with artifacts. Let's see our beautiful woman up here. See, look at that face. It's a fabulous face. And here is Richard's beautiful face. Now look at that. That's Richard Lewis alive again. You can see the color in his eyes. There's almost a little bit of red eye going on. In this eye, you can almost see the person taking the picture because it's so beautifully enhanced. Now, this is supposed to be a cigarette, right? Well, doesn't look like a cigarette because these are all the dirty artifacts. So here's Richard's shirt. Very noisy, very ugly, but you don't notice it. Now we'll go over here to Larry. Meow. There's Larry. Okay. Again, see his hair's all messed up, but the face is perfect. Now the eyeglass looks like it's just a little off, but when you're looking at it, it doesn't really look that way. Let's go to the original and see what's going on with his eyeglasses and why it's doing this on our artificial. Okay, the problem is you can see the bottom rim of this one in the original, and you don't know where the bottom rim is, so the AI has to guess where it is, and so this is probably not what it looked like. I think this is right because the bending here, that's a real lens bending the shape of his face. That is not an AI problem. If you've ever worn glasses and you can't see far away, that's what you look like when people look at you on the side. Your face kind of goes concave a little bit. Very ugly. But from a production and beauty point of view, this is a terrific shot of Larry. I mean, there's no doubt that's him. And he has the fresh face of 20 and 22. And there's his hand, awful, ugly. Now let's look at this. Beautiful, see? Look at this. The face is right there. The teeth are perfect, the smile, the eyes, and then it gets all muddy around there. Because that's how AI does it. Do we have one more? There she is. Okay. Now this one's very interesting too. She has straight hair. Not curly, not wavy. It's in a lot of light. So you can see the texture of her hair, which is very nice, actually, for AI. Let's go to the original. Where is she? She's all the way over here. Okay. And she looks good. You can't really see her teeth. But now in this one, you can kind of see that her teeth are a different color. A little bit of yellow. Now, can we see Richard's teeth? Richard's teeth are very white. So is this an interpretation by the AI, or is this just the way it looks? I think maybe she had a little bit of yellow teeth, but who knows? But the face is beautiful, the nose looks good, the eyebrows are really terrific. So these crazy AI bots, and now we go back, so it's a regular photograph, right? The way we're supposed to be looking at it. And this looks, good, authentic, and then we go here, and we look here, hey, beautiful stuff. And you're not even noticing all this, junk that goes on and these artifacts on the outfits and the bow ties because the faces are spectacularly beautiful. So who's going to make a complaint against AI? Oh, I don't want AI to make me look beautiful or to update my face so, my old photographs can live again in 20 and 22. Nobody will say that unless they have some kind of vested interest because they're insane in some way. Which brings us to our next topic. It's a little different, but I saw this today on Reddit, and I thought, now that is a really, really interesting conversation. If you're into movies or television or something like that, there's a trend now that if you are intelligent, a genius, as they say, you have to be socially inept. That's not me saying that. That's not what the poster is saying. The person who wrote this is saying the way that television and the movies portrays someone of genius quality means that they're awkward and weird. And that person's sick of it. They call it the mentally ill savant trope, which I think is really interesting. Here's a little bit of what they're saying. There's so many shows in the last few years that stereotype the hay out of smart people as quirky, mentally ill, poorly adjusted people with amazing ability to solve problems while having zero social ability. And that's a good point. Why can't you just be a regular, normal person who happens to be smart and insightful? Well, that's not interesting. We need some kind of conflict. They're so smart that they can't have a girlfriend, or they're so smart that everyone who's a friend of theirs has to make fun of them for being smart. You can't just have a smart person or someone with a mental illness. The writers on television have to combine the worst aspects of these tropes and put out the same character over and over. It feels inauthentic. I'm not even PO'd about this from a representative point of view. I hate how pandering it feels, this person says. It's trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator. Obvious one is, very curious, Monk. One of our favorite TV shows, Monk, though it's usually more beloved than the others this person's going to mention. Then there's also Young Sheldon, right? And The Dreadful Good Doctor, which I agree is a really dreadful, perfect, dreadful show. I think they say that he's on the spectrum or something, but he's still a doctor, but he can't relate to any of his patients. I mean, it's just weird. Why? And several other shows with Holly Gibney. Now, there's a new show out called Elsbeth. Okay, I think that's being promoted very interestingly. Elsbeth, that again employs this quirky detective genius with no social awareness. I don't understand how, with mental illness raising awareness, this is still a trope that's not pushed back on. I think it's a very interesting argument. Why should we have, these characters who have to be, quirky and weird in order to be smart? The bad guys in these shows, the supporting characters in these shows, can be very stupid and evil at the same time. And they don't have to have any kind of mental unsustainability. Even think of the great Columbo, right? Genius, weird, didn't take social cues, would come back, would be dismissed by the bad guy, and he took one more thing, couldn't read the room, right? Why? Why can't Columbo be a regular guy? Like the original Steve McGarrett, Hawaii Five-0. Now, that was a guy who shot straight. Very smart, very dedicated, did not seem to have any social ineptitudes. But I think it's a very interesting argument that, we in fake life, not in real life, we elevate these people with these social disabilities and we say, oh, look how wonderful they are, how smart and insightful they are. Whereas in the real world, they're discredited and ignored. So maybe, these television people think, oh, let's take, the standard of being ignored and flip it. Well, you can't ignore this disabled person any longer because they're geniuses. They're Dr. MDs. They solve detective cases like Mr. Monk or this new Elsbeth show. So that's something to think about as you move forward. Do I like this show because it's true, or do I like this show because it's, quirky and weird? Interesting points of view to consider in this sort of conversation. What else is going on in the news? Well, before we get to our AI, we're just going to bounce into this for a second. And this COVID thing, people are very distressed about it because there are people who really care about COVID and who want to be very healthy. And there are other people who don't care at all. And then there's the CDC that's supposed to protect us. And the CDC says, well, now if you get COVID, you don't have to separate yourself from society for 5 days. Just go on with your life. They're compartmentalizing the effects of COVID. And it's distressing to some people who are immunocompromised or who don't want to get it. And it's just sort of a bad thing that people say, well, we're all going to eventually get it sometime. I mean, that's just sort of fatalistic, right? Who would want this? It doesn't mean you're always going to survive. There are still people who are suffering long-term effects. They said COVID is an artery disease. COVID affects your heart. And now this newest information that I'm sharing with you right now is COVID leaves its mark on your brain with significant drops in IQ scores. Now, there's some people who will poo-poo this because they don't care about education or science or technology or education. That's fine. They can go poo-poo. But for the rest of us who don't want to have our IQs lowered any more than they already are, we need every brain cell we have. I'll put this link on our Discord server so you can read about it later. From the very early days of the pandemic, brain fog emerged as a significant health condition that many experience after COVID-19. Terrifying. Brain fog is a common term that describes a state of mental sluggishness or lack of clarity and haziness that makes it difficult to concentrate, remember things, and think clearly. Fast forward 4 years, and there is now abundant evidence that being infected with COVID-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, can affect brain health in many ways. That's terrifying. In addition to brain fog, COVID-19 can lead to an array of problems, including headaches, seizure disorders, strokes, sleep problems, and tingling and paralysis of the nerves, as well as several mental health disorders. This person wrote this article. I am a physician scientist. I've devoted to studying long COVID. I'm an expert witness. And this are his results, how COVID-19 leaves its mark on the brain. Large epidemiological analyses showed that people who had COVID-19 were at increased risk of cognitive deficits, memory problems. There was a shrinkage of brain volume. A study of people with mild to moderate COVID-19 showed significant prolonged inflammation of the brain. Severe COVID-19 that required hospitalization or intensive care may result in cognitive deficits and other brain damage. Oh, it goes on and on. Look at all these bullet points. It's just there's a YouTube video about it. I mean, it's just depressing. And it's true. You might not be able to avoid it. But if you can avoid it and lessen its effects, because this is saying that even if you just get COVID and you don't have to go to the hospital, it still may have some lingering effects on your body. And this was a devastating illness that killed a lot of people. And there are still people who deny it, just like they deny the election. Oh, well, COVID's not that bad. Here's some ivermectin to make you feel better. Here's some bleach in the sun to make you feel better. So I'll put this link in our Discord server so you can read more about it later, but it's something important for you to consider. Now we get into some really interesting news. Adobe, Adobe. Photoshop Adobe is how most people know it. Dreamweaver Adobe for your websites, Photoshop for your images, Adobe Audition for your podcast. And now Adobe is working on a music app. Now, we have done a tutorial on this live show for Suno.ai, which is sort of a fun thing where it will create music and songs for you. You can have it generate lyrics for you, or you can take your own lyrics, put it in Suno, and say, I want this to be, country western song, go. And it will create a song for you. And the new Alpha 3 version of Suno is really spectacular. We probably should do another tutorial because things have changed a little bit, always for the better. And I have a lot of version 2 Suno songs that I really used to like, but now with the rising of version 3, even in alpha, not in beta testing, in alpha testing, which is very early, the sound is 100% better. So it's like all that work you did on version 2, thrown out. You got to start all over. But that's the way it is with AI. It's changing so quickly and so rapidly. Just like your AI bots, Midjourney. I've been using Midjourney every day for about a year. And, version 4 compared to the current version 6, magnitudes better. So you have all your old images and you look at them reflectively and think, my goodness, when I first made this a year ago, I was so impressed. I was blown out of the water by how cool it was. And now you look at it and it's like, what is that? What was I thinking? That's not good. Because the tech has improved so dramatically and found much more speed in creation. You think, my goodness, how did I live without this a year ago? What a fool I was. Well, the same thing's happening with music. And there are people who think, just like the AI people and art, say, oh, it's not music. It's just created by a bot. And to those people, I say, have you heard any of the Suno AI music? You can go to bowls.ai and listen around. There's some very interesting stuff posted there. And it doesn't sound like AI. The lyrics are great. From ChatGPT or Google Gemini or even Mistral, the large version. And then mixed in with music and vocals, you can't tell me that that's not sounds exactly like a live performance from a real person. It's that good. And it's only in the alpha stage. So I guess Adobe, I want to say, read the writing on the wall, but that's not the right metaphor. I guess Adobe must have had their ear to the ground and sensed that Suno and other music bot creators, but I'm not familiar with a lot of them, are a danger. And so Adobe is stepping forward to put their foot in the musical pool, as they say. Now, Adobe also has Firefly. We've discussed that here on the show before, which is their art version of like the Midjourney bot. Not very good, but they're working on it. The generative AI in Photoshop, where you can have an image and then blow it up and add things to it. People seem to really like it. I find it a little bit clunky to use, but other people feel differently. So I was really interested when I read yesterday about AI music coming to Adobe, because Adobe is very good and has a lot of money. And you got to have a lot of money to be in the AI world, because you have to buy machines and computer chips. And sometimes it takes you like a year and a half to get up to speed. So here is sort of like the press release. Adobe has announced a groundbreaking AI tool named Project Music Gen AI Control, which is already a mouthful too much. It's very boring. It's a bad decision. Don't call it that. And it's designed to revolutionize the way music is created and edited. This prototype generative AI tool, announced during the Hot Pod Summit in Brooklyn, enables users to generate music from text descriptions, okay, or reference melodies, okay, and offers extensive editing capabilities. That's new. Right now, you can't edit anything like from Suno.ai. You can regenerate and it say, basically try again with a new seed, a new idea, but you can't edit it. You can't go in there and say, make this happier, change this note from this note to that note, make the hook stronger, use this lyric. You can't do that. It's really very basic. It's copy and paste, click on a button and go. So extensive editing capabilities is very interesting. Users can input text prompts describing the desired music style, such as happy dance or sad jazz. And the tool then generates the music accordingly. And you can do that right now with a Suno.ai. You put in country folk as the music style, put in chill jazz music style, and it will do a good job. Additionally, this Adobe project allows for the customization of the generated music, including adjustments to tempo, intensity, repeating patterns, and structure. And that, if that's true, and if it's really coming soon, that's going to be big, because right now you can't do that. With Suno AI, you want to go in there and say, okay, I like this hook, put this hook on that chorus, repeat this chorus 3 times, and we're going to put a new verse between each chorus. I want to take those pieces, here's the chorus, put it here, copy, paste, but put it together. Like you can when you're just editing voice, but you can't do it now. You're just stuck. So it's like, the old days with your AI bot. You give it a prompt, give me a cat on a motorcycle, and really that's all you can do is just keep clicking regenerate and hope that it will come up with something that's a little different or a little more interesting. That's where the music biz is right now, but maybe this Adobe thing will change it. You could create repeating loops, making it suitable for various content creation needs, such as backing tracks or background music for podcasts and animations. Developed in collaboration with researchers from the University of California and Carnegie Mellon University, Project Music Gen AI Control stands out from existing generative music tools by offering more integrated, blah, blah. So that's interesting. I will put that link on our Discord server. And here's the news about this project. Adobe's new prototype is the Photoshop of music making and editing. Now that is very interesting. I just hope if it's going to take a year to get here, it's going to be too late. They need to have this in alpha testing within a month or two, because right now everybody's talking about it. It's hot. So don't announce something that you then can't produce. Project Music Gen AI Control can generate audio using all these things. So I'll put this link here because this explains it. The other one was more like a press release. This is sort of an article dealing with the technology. Adobe also says the tool can adjust the generated audio based on a reference melody and extend the length of audio clips if you want to make the track long enough for things like fixed animation or podcast segments. That is missing. Right now, with Suno AI, in version 2, you can get 1 minute, 20-second chunks of a song. And with version 3 alpha, you can theoretically, although it's never happened to me yet, you can get chunks of a song in 2-minute chunks. But right now, Suno AI is like limited to only 8 lines at a time per chunk, and you can just add chunks as you go along to build a song, but it's very tedious and it takes a long time. And 8 lines is really like a verse and a chorus. So you do a verse and a chorus, then you say continue from here, then you put in your new verse, your chorus, continue from here, your bridge, your chorus, continue from here, your outro, and you're done. But it takes all day. Adobe says public domain content was uploaded for the Project Music Gen AI Control demo, but it's not clear if the tool would allow any audio to be directly uploaded into the tool as reference material. That's another thing about Suno AI, is you can't go there and say the style of music I want is B.B. King. It says right in the instructions, Suno AI does not know musical people or specific songs. It knows musical styles. So you kind of have to say cool jazz or guitar jazz or something that kind of hints. You're looking for a B.B. King sound, but you can't say B.B. King because then you got, public domain problems and copyright issues. While similar tools are already available or being developed, such as Google's Music LM. Now, I know about Notebook LM, but I am not familiar with Music LM. And Meta's open source AudioCraft, I'm not familiar with that either. Now, this is probably my fault, so I'll open these and see if we get anything. I haven't heard about those, and I'm in all of the AI music groups. I haven't heard one word about these. I guess I'm out of it. Those only allow users to generate audio via text prompts with little to no support for editing the musical output, which is Suno AI. And you can try Suno AI by just going to suno.ai and signing up for a free account. Or you can use Microsoft Bing, and they have a plugin that will help you learn how to use Suno AI and to create music. That means you'd have to keep generating audio from scratch until you get the results you want, or manually make those edits yourself using audio software. So here is Google's new AI turns text into music. So I'm looking for some kind of link to this. TechCrunch, upload a bunch of samples. Oh, this is just, I guess it's just all theory again. This is a coming attraction of Google's Music LM. I don't see anything there. Okay, nothing there. Nothing to see here. Meta's music. This is from last summer. OpenAI models. Okay, not interesting. Music LM, AI generated song, musicians. Okay, it's nothing. Now, speaking of AI, as we wrap up our show today, Tumblr and Midjourney content deal. Now, this is very interesting because we talked last week about how Midjourney was supposed to create some kind of deal with Elon Musk and Twitter. Rumors were that Midjourney was going to go in collaboration with Elon Musk and Twitter/X to create images on demand on Twitter, which I find absolutely outrageous because Midjourney is wonderful and Elon Musk and Twitter are not. And Midjourney even put up a poll. How do you feel about Elon Musk? Which I thought was terrific. And the majority was, I don't like the guy at all. So hopefully that gets through to the Midjourney gods and David H. And it's like, stay the heck away from Elon Musk. Whatever he touches turns to dust. But Tumblr, which is now owned, I believe, by Automatic, and Midjourney have a content deal. Tumblr's owner, here we go, Automatic, is reportedly in discussions with AI companies Midjourney and OpenAI, that's DALL-E 3 and ChatGPT, to provide them with training data derived from users' posts on Tumblr. This information comes from a report by 404 Media, which cites an anonymous source within the company. The deals between Automatic and AI firms are described as imminent. This development follows rumors on Tumblr about a potential deal with Midjourney, which could open up a new revenue stream for the platform. Very interesting, right? And also in the news is this. OpenAI claims the New York Times cheated because I guess the New York Times is now suing OpenAI for stealing all of their content and using it to train their LLM, their large language model. And OpenAI, I guess, is now going on the offensive saying, no, it's the other way around. The New York Times stole from us and then are regurgitating what they stole from us and saying we stole from them. It's very interesting. We live in interesting times, as they say. OpenAI, ChatGPT, DALL-E 3, has accused the New York Times of hacking into its ChatGPT chatbot and other artificial intelligence systems to fabricate evidence for a copyright lawsuit. Now that is wild. OpenAI's claim was made in a filing to a federal judge in Manhattan, where the organization alleged that the New York Times engaged in deceptive practices by providing prompts that violated OpenAI's terms of use. OpenAI contends that the Times induced its technology to reproduce copyrighted material through dubious means and suggested that the newspaper paid an individual to manipulate the AI systems. Now, you can't write a better story than that. You can't go to ChatGPT and say, hey, write a better story than the New York Times accusing OpenAI of falsely stealing information. Insane. And here's how it started. The New York Times initiated a copyright lawsuit against OpenAI and its primary investor, Microsoft, alleging that OpenAI and Microsoft utilized millions and millions of articles without authorization to train chatbots for disseminating information to users. OpenAI's defense is that the use of copyrighted content to train AI systems is a fair use under the law, and the outcome of this legal battle could set significant precedents regarding the intersection of copyright law and artificial intelligence. Wow. I will post all of these articles and all this information on our Discord server, which is located at boles.co/Discord. And I'll put it in our live links section so you can follow along if you're interested. What an interesting day. We've gone from genius savants and mocking their portrayal on television. Oh, you can't be smart unless there's something wrong with you. That's the message it's sending. Why can't you just be a regular, ordinary people who happens to say something that's really interesting and maybe even smart and thoughtful and educated? And we talked about AI, Adobe getting into the music game, which would be very interesting. But I checked before we went on the show today, and I cannot find even an alpha test of the Adobe music. So I got to go search for that because it might be interesting to figure out and try to use it. We discussed the long-term effects of COVID brain fog, and there are some of us who need all the brain cells we have. So we got to try to stay healthy, eat right, and if you do get sick with COVID, you somehow fight off all of these long-term after effects that tend to stick with you in really awful ways. And we started the show taking a look at how AI can actually enhance history. You can take an old image, fix the faces, update it, and have a whole new world before you that was created before you were even born. It's really amazing tech. Amazing stuff. We live in interesting times. So until next time, thank you so much for being here. If you have a comment or you want to get in touch, you know where to find me. Go to our Discord server. You can find me on boles.xyz, our Mastodon server. Or you can find me right here on boles.tv. Hey, this is boles.television. Take care, be well. I'll see you again soon. Bye.